Welcome back to another edition of Scelzi Says. I'm Joe Costello, along with the four-time champion, Gary Scelzi. Gary, welcome back.
Joe, thank you. Been a while.
It has been a while. We've had a lot go down, but a lot of material to talk about. Starting off with the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. What were your thoughts?
Big race. A lot of TV time. A lot of stuff the sports needs. Too much TV time? Possibly. I didn't watch the whole show, but I did get bits and pieces of it. I thought ESPN did a great job. I thought how they kind of worked that thing with all the different segments, throwing different drivers and different interviews. I thought that was spontaneous. I thought it was different. I thought it was new, and I thought it was exciting. A+ for me on the show. A little long. You know, you had to be a freak like us to really enjoy drag racing, to sit there in front of a TV for that long. But I thought it was great, good exposure, a good deal. Antron Brown winning, I thought was exciting, and I thought it was great to watch those guys do that and watch Antron win. I really want to see Del Worsham win his first world championship. But, you know, I got to be honest with you. When you watch TV and you watch these mega teams, I'm kind of sick of Schumacher and Force's teams winning. But I loved watching Antron win. There was no doubt about that. The excitement was genuine. Great speech at the end. I thought that was good. My buddy Mike Neff. What can you say about Mike? Winning that race was huge for me. Again, a Force team, Schumacher team. I love the Blaine Johnson scenarios of, you know, in Alan Johnson days when an independent team barely getting by, kicking the Bernstein's ass and the Joe Amato's ass and the Corey Mack's ass. That's what I really love to see. Our sport's missing that. But it was great to see Antron with Schumacher's team. Great to see Neff with Force's team. I love those guys. Mike showed a lot of poise, a lot of character, and what a consistent race car. It reminded me when he was on his game and I was on my game and we had the funny car running together. We had a great time. Kudos to both those guys. Greg Anderson and Jason Lyon, it looks like they are the guys to beat. I felt sorry for Jason. Man, there was nothing worse than a driver getting beat on a hole shot because you've let your guys down. And I don't care. Even if you had a great light, and I don't believe he had a bad one, it was good to watch the two teammates win if you're on that team, but I know his feeling and I feel for him. I've only won one Indy, and I was runner-up once, and I don't care where you're at. When you lose on a hole shot, that rotten feeling in your stomach doesn't go away for a long time. I thought it was bullshit about the guys getting a speeding penalty down the return road. Now, I don't have all the details of that, but you've got a team that maybe is a little bit above independent, not funded like the big guys, who's working his ass off trying to make it big in this sport, who's actually a nutcase who I love, get held at the scales for a minute. Are you kidding me? What if those poor guys after that fire couldn't make it to the next round? The U.S. Nationals, you're going to have somebody single to the semifinals? I mean, come on, Graham Light. Let's give a little bit here. You know, this is business. These guys are customers, and we've got customers in the stands. Slap them on the wrist. Tell them if they do it again, you can do something. But come on, guys. U.S. Nationals, they had a fire with a car. They needed some time. Don't cheat the guys like this that work their ass off and that is the backbone of our sport. I had a real problem with that one, Joe.
It was definitely confusing. I don't hear that call being made too often. I wasn't down there, so I didn't see exactly how fast they were going. I knew they had a flat tire, they had a major explosion, and they were struggling to get in the countdown and ultimately didn't make the countdown because of the oil they spilled on the track.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's tough. I mean, I know Richard Hartman. I know he tries hard, and I know they've had some engine damage. Boy, easy for me to say. It's just tough. You know, our sport is something that's special that we all love. And without the Schumachers and without the Forces, we don't have anything, that's another story for another time. But, God, I know that we want to see, you know, I want to see Tim Wilkerson come out there and kick everybody's ass. Not that I don't love them all. Trust me, I do. But, you know, everybody loves that three-legged dog to come out there and be the champion, you know, the secretariat or whatever. We just want to see someone new come out that maybe is underfunded or, you know, come in and just beat them. And that's what I think we're lacking a little bit.
On that note, let's focus our attention on ZMAX Dragway. They call it the Bellagio of drag racing nowadays. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Nationals, the first race of the countdown. So everyone's got a different game face on this week. As much as Indy is the big go, the championship is on the line, and a DNQ or a problem at the race can be the end of your championship hopes right in the first race weekend.
No doubt about it. Bruton Smith, I love that man. As far as owning the racetracks and not skimping on money, but he's got a lot of money to pull from. It is the Bellagio. All his racetracks are phenomenal. No question about it. I wish he owned more. The only thing I have a problem with Bruton about is this 4-lane deal. I mean, to me, NHRA needs to work on, and Bruton, especially with his dough, needs to come back and make that a specialty race, non-points. It's more of a show, what he intends it to do. As far as that being a points race, again, I call bullshit. But as far as the facility and what they're doing this coming weekend, this is the real deal. Gloves off, get after it. And boys, you got one shot. Let's make it happen. You got 6 races left to be the champ. And again, Robert Height, when he did it a few years ago, he came from 10th, barely got in, won a bunch of races, and became the champ. That was exciting. Even though, again, mega team or whatever, it was neat to see somebody come that nobody was expecting. Cruz Pedregon, definitely, he's got his car thumping. Hopefully he's got enough in his arsenal to continue to cause havoc. Whether you're a Cruz Pedregon fan or not, you got to appreciate what he's doing, calling the shots, bringing those guys together. And Cruz, I know you're going to listen to this, but you told me on the phone here probably about 6 or 8 months ago that you wake up every morning to beat the super teams. You need to say that on TV. It's going to make your fan base bigger. You know exactly how you said it. I'd love to see you do it on ESPN too. And I think your fan base would be wider. If they're a Cruz Pedregon lover or a hater, you got to appreciate the guy.
I noticed in the media center at Indy, there was a greater willingness to fire some shots just from various drivers around. Greater willingness to say things that weren't negative just to be negative, but negative because that's how they really felt.
You know what? Like I said before, Joe, the people in the stands and the people in the viewers on TV are not stupid. They know when you're pissed. They know when you're hiding it. They know when you're being too corporate. And believe me, I can't believe any sponsor is going to be upset if you mention your name. There's a reason why they paint their name big on the car and it's on your fire suit. They know who sponsors it. Jim Gennard used to say he didn't care if I said Oakley or not. If they don't know what that O means, then they're not going to do him any good anyway. But, you know, expressing your feelings, I guess I didn't see it, but I guess Caps was pretty pissed off when he smoked the tires in the semis. And that just goes to show you how much emotion, whether you like it or you don't like it, the emotion to win Indy and Caps wanting to win a championship. I mean, to me, there's a lot of drivers out there that are champions, even though they haven't got a ring, and he's one of them. But that's what people want to see. I want to see when you're pissed. I want to see when you're legitimately happy. I want to see emotion, even if it's a man crying. I don't care. I want to see what you feel. And I think Bill Stevens wrote a little story here on Competition Plus and talked about, you know, what he felt drivers should show emotion-wise and all that, which I thought was pretty neat because we talked about it earlier. He's a little more eloquent than me when he writes than I speak. But, you know, the same concession was set through. When a driver buckles another driver's knees, or, you know, years ago there was a fan at the U.S. Nationals when Ed McCullough was a crew chief on Coletta's car and the fan was blocking him from getting in the gate. And Ace moved at him and yelled at him to move, and he didn't move. And the guy said something back to him, and Ace dropped him. He got fined $10,000, and Connie said, "Why don't you make it $20,000 to a certain official?" I thought that was pretty funny, and I thought that was gutsy. And if we could put that on TV, you know, the sponsor at the time was Coletta Air, so there was not going to be any repercussion for sponsorship. You know, maybe we don't need to hit anybody, but the emotions, we need it, and it's only going to get better, and it'll make the viewership go up, I promise you.
All right, we are asking for your questions, folks. If you've got a question for Gary, you can send it at competitionplus.com. Bobby's got an email set up for your questions for Gary. Gary, I have a question for you from Kellen. You ready?
Yep.
Just wanted to know what Gary's opinion is of the revival of nostalgia funny car racing over the past few years. I've seen 2 match races over the summer, Mission BC's 32 funny cars and an IHRA race in Edmonton, and these cars are finally being featured. Would Gary ever drive one? Says Kellen Nitro.
Well, yeah, I would. In fact, Jim Head, who's a very good close friend of mine, I was asked by Dale Worsham and Jim Head, his son, to go to Bakersfield this last weekend because Chad was going to get licensed and was afraid he couldn't get it done. Unfortunately, I've let my license expire. And in NHRA's rules, if you let your license expire or you haven't driven a fuel car in 2 years, you have to make 6 runs. And I had a person that's pretty ill that's a fan of Gary Scelzi's that came from out of town, and I had to spend 3 or 4 hours, which was well worth the visit for a person that's got some health issues. Showed him around my office and all the trophies and all the memorabilia, and it was time well spent. And Chad did get his license in a nostalgia funny car that Dale Worsham built. I would have loved to have driven it. Those guys are fun guys. Yeah, it's a possibility. I think it's great that we have those things, the nostalgia races. I know I'm from California. Bakersfield has 2 races a year that are huge. I think it's important that we keep them looking nostalgia, but I believe like the head and neck restraints and that type of stuff is a big deal. But when it comes to, these automatic shutoffs and all that stuff, these guys, we got to watch what we do to the price of these things, or we're going to drive the price out of the park. And again, you're going to have somebody comes in as a mega team wanting to own that end of it. We've got to be careful with that. But I love the nostalgia cars. I think it's great. I know there's a Chi-Town Hustler out there. There's Poldy's cars out there. That's the War Eagle. Del Worsham Caps drove the Blue Max thing. It's exciting. It's bitching. It's a neat deal to do. The only problem I have with it takes so long to run sessions. And I kind of like it like the big cars. They run on time most of the time, and they've got a schedule, and it's every, 65 minutes or whatever it is, 60 minutes. They turn them every hour that you're running. So that's the only downfall I see. I'd like to see them turn a little quicker, but it's not made to be professional. It's made to be more fun like it was in those days. So I think it's bitching. I like it. Yep, I'm all for them.
If you've got a question for Gary Scelzi, send it at competitionplus.com. Gary, I cannot let you go without asking you for some championship thoughts or predictions as we head into the 6-race countdown. A champion is going to be decided in each of the professional classes. I'm wondering whether I should ask you who you think should win or who you think it would be best for the sport if they won. You want to tackle that either way?
Who'd best be for the sport in Top Fuel? It'd have to be somebody that's a sleeper, which means it can't be any in the top 5. My pick on that, I don't know. I would love to see the resurgence of Doug Coletta, and I would love to see him win. Just for Connie's sake, for Scott Coletta's sake, and just for the O-Boys and Technicoat, all those guys that are part of that team. I know it's a big team and it's not underfunded, but I love those guys, and I'd love to see Doug win a championship. Antron would be a great thing to see him, but my heart really lies with Del Worsham. I would love to see Del win it because I believe that Del is one of those guys that is a champion that just hasn't gotten a ring yet. And I think if he's going to do it, he's going to do it with Alan Johnson, no question about it. Funny car, I want to see Caps win one for the same reason because he hasn't, and I believe he's a champion. But my heart lies with Mike Neff. I want to see Mike Neff do it as a crew chief and a driver because I know he's fully capable of doing it. What would be the best for the sport? Tim Wilkerson. That's my dark horse pick. I'd love to see him do it too, but Zippy and I have a great relationship, and I love that guy, and I think he's focused, and I think he's the man to put smart monies on Mike Neff. Pro stock, it's a pick 'em. Anybody can get hot in that deal that's in the top 3 or 4, but I got to go with Greg Anderson. As far as anybody pulling, I'm not really a pro stock guy, so I don't know. I mean, I would say Greg is probably the guy. Mike Edwards got a possible shot at it. But, Erica Enders, that would be good for the sport. I think she's a sweetheart. I think she's had some bad luck. I don't want her to give up because she's right there that just it hasn't fell her way. And when it does fall her way, she could be one to win 3 or 4 right now and be the champ. And I think that would be the best thing for the sport as far as pro stock goes.
Any thoughts on the bikes? My bike friends are, they're going to get mad at me. Andrew and L.E. they're avid listeners to Scelzi Says, so we got to get the bikes in there.
I was so impressed with L.E. I never met him, never talked to him, but winning the championship as a rookie last year, that was impressive. The Lucas Oil guys, Hector Jr., great kid, good rider. I mean, I think Hector's got a lot to be proud of. I'd like to see his kid have a shot at it. The Vance and Hines boys with the Harleys, Karen Stouffer. I got to think about those people. I love them all. The bikes are exciting, but for me to pick one of those, I don't know. Angel had won championships before with the Winston bike and with George Bryce. I don't know. I wish George Bryce was still racing because he was badass. I don't know. That's all up in the air. Ellie, I couldn't tell you one favorite or not. All of them are good.
I don't think they could tell you either. And Pro Stock Bike is a very, very tough class. He's a 4-time champion, Gary Scelzi. I'm Joe Costello, and this has been the Scelzi Says. Gary, final thoughts.
I just I want to thank all the emails that I've been receiving from Competition Plus. I think we're finally I think people are starting to enjoy this and starting to catch on. I just got to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to stay in touch with you and get to say what I want to say without having to worry about sponsorship repercussion. And believe me, a lot of the pro drivers call me and want me to talk about stuff, and we're going to get into that in the shows to come. Won't mention any names, but there's a lot of them that want me to say stuff that they're not able to say.
We're going to have to get a voice shredder. That'd be like the anonymous witness behind the screen talking about what they have. I love it. Gary, thank you very much. Appreciate it. This has been the Scelzi Says. I'm Joe Costello, and we'll see you next time.